All right, fight fans, welcome to Caveman Corner with your host, Jeff.
Captain Caveman.
Dance.
All right, we're here with a very special guest. Today we have Dan the Beast Severn. How you doing, Mr. Beast?
Well, I'm feeling rather beastly. It might be a Sunday here in the States, but nevertheless, the Beast does not know how to rest.
I know you don't know how to rest. You got 120 goddamn pro MMA fights. How do you manage to pull off a record like that?
Well, if you knew all the more particulars that went along with that, you would even be more impressed with it. You got to realize, if you take in consideration at what age did I start this crazy cage fighting career, and all the things I was doing with it. A lot of your listeners, they know the likes of a Brock Lesnar. You kind of have to clear your throat when you're doing that. Brock, and saying that he's the greatest thing since they popped a hole in a piece of bread and they called it a donut. That he was the first crossover guy there to be a cage fighter / professional wrestler, or maybe it was professional wrestler class cage fighter. I'm not sure, but I did the exact same thing 20 years prior to Brock Lesnar, and he's only had 9 total MMA matches. 9.
And you have more class than him too. You didn't decide to get a giant penis on your chest, which is a pretty good, pretty good decision, I would say.
Well, I guess maybe I've never looked that close to know exactly. I knew he had a tattoo on his chest, but I guess I did not realize it was a penis.
It is a giant penis. Take a look at it. I'm telling you.
Well, honestly, those aren't the kind of tattoos I wish to look at.
That's the only reason he's got so many female fans. It has nothing to do with all the muscles. It's just a giant penis on his chest.
I see.
So you got a lot of stuff going on. Is that your own professional wrestling show that you were doing, or do you work for other companies? How does that work?
No, that is no, gentlemen. I've got lots going on in my life. I've always had. I just finished up that little thing there. I said about Brock Lesnar's only done 9 matches total in his life. I did that in 1 year while still working for probably the WWE at the time, while still working for the NWA. I'm the first professional wrestler under the WWE's roster ever to be non-exclusive. First guy ever with the NWA ever to be non-exclusive. He's first guy in the UFC to be non-exclusive. So what does that say about moi here right now? The fact that it's kind of hard to corral the beast because I'm not going to give anyone my full attention like that.
Well, thank you for giving us some of your attention.
Well, just a little bit, that's all.
You can do other things. I don't care. You could be knitting, crocheting, whatever you got to do while you're talking to us. It's all good.
You might be surprised. I actually am working on a series of seminars here right now. I'll be heading back to Atlantic City, New Jersey probably by Thursday at the latest. I'll be traveling in that direction, but as I travel across from Coldwater, Michigan to Atlantic City, I will probably make a couple stops, knock off a couple seminars in transit, because that is a 10-hour drive, and that is if the weather is nice, because this time of year, old Mother Nature can reel her ugly head because it is winter time here.
Yeah, we in Buffalo, New York right now, and it's nice outside.
It's like 50 degrees.
Yes, no, same way here. This has been the most uncanny January that I can ever recall.
For anyone who's interested in a seminar, since you're coming up this way, what do you charge to do a seminar?
Well, I mean, that kind of depends if it's during the work week or on the weekend. And maybe to explain it a little bit more, typically on the weekends, that's probably where I am in the most demand. I basically charge $1,500 for 2 back-to-back seminars. And what I mean by that is that I would do one seminar for 2 hours, take about a 10 to 15-minute break just to take whatever time it takes to do photographs and to sign a few autographs for those that either have to depart. And then I go right back in. I start teaching an additional seminar. The host only pays for the first seminar, and then we basically split the second seminar, because I always try to show value into it. If you are a school owner, once I'm done there, hopefully you brought in brand new student clientele that they did not know that your gym existed. they would have enjoyed the bang up seminars that I did. And now as I leave, if you walk away with some more, you walk away with some more new students. But then also, the first seminar itself should have easily paid for my services, and then the second seminar, the host actually is making money. So literally, that's why I stay as busy as I do, because I try to help. I look at it from both people's perspective, not just from one perspective. If we live in this me world, which we actually do, I just know I stay incredibly busy because I take both sides into consideration, so that if we both win, guess what? And it was a success. Guess what you're going to bring back again? You're going to bring me back in again, and that's kind of how I built my little empire here, just traveling almost any state I want to go to, practically any country I want to go to, and knowing that I've got a roof over my head and I've got a meal on the table.
Awesome, man. When you teach your seminars, you teach mostly wrestling? Do you teach MMA? Do you teach striking? You teach your slap game? I loved your slap game back in the day.
I missed the last part.
The slap game that you play, like how you used to like slap the shit out of people. I love that. Like,
I got you that. Oh yeah, well, I was a king of that game.
Nick Diaz copied your shit. You should definitely get him for some copyright infringement. I'm just saying.
The Michigan slap.
I don't want to know. I don't think I really want to take credit if he's one of my followers. I think Mr. Diaz has fried one too many brain cells there.
What do you think about marijuana? Do you think fighters should be smoking or stay away from it? You're kind of like the all-American guy.
I'll say this, and you might be surprised. I mean, this is some of the other aspect. Most people will only ever know about 1/3 of what I'm doing. I always tell people I'm like an iceberg. You only ever see 1/3 of it. You'll never see the other 2/3, and that's kind of how all the projects. I have three. Okay, these are three things just that pertain off of what you asked about marijuana. I'm working with a company out in Arizona, and the three items that we're working on, there are two machines. One is known as the EECP machine. One is known as a hyperbaric chamber, and the other is the CBD, the medical oil portion of marijuana.
That's without the THC, so you don't get high, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. So
Correct.
you're actually involved with medicinal.
Well, yes, because of what it does. There's a lot of things, but this stuff doesn't really follow into the medical lanes, because there's a lot of your pharmaceutical companies they would rather sell you a tablet that, if you have runny nose, you take this tablet, it will stop your nose from running, but you might walk away with headaches, blurred vision, diarrhea, stomach problems, and a whole bunch of other issues. To me, I was okay with just a runny nose. But most of your pharmaceutical, I'd say your doctors, that they just write pharmaceutical prescriptions because there's really nothing, there's no benefit in them actually curing you, because now you're not making them any money.
Right. That's a whole problem with the medical field.
From what I've been working with, the group of men I've been working with, they're incredible researchers, and I am actually a product of the hyperbaric chamber and the EECP, and I've read all the literature. I'm okay with marijuana in a sense that don't be an idiot. It's just like drinking. Don't be smoking a couple fat boys and then start driving down the road. That's just called being stupid. Okay, but stay home, do whatever you want to do behind the confines of your own in your privacy of your own room. I could care less. You can stick firecrackers up your ass and do cartwheels. I could really care less.
That's pretty good, man. I like that, cartwheels.
See, that's where. I thought of that as a professional wrestling gimmick there for one of my young men. I says, darken the lights. You go out there, a few sparklers hanging on your rectum, and you start doing a few cartwheels. I mean, the kids will love it.
Did he do it?
No.
Oh, if you could get someone to do that, you'd be the greatest of all time.
He said he was not that agile, and was afraid that might get a little bit too close on the burn.
We actually had a guy that pooped his pants on our fight team. I think maybe we could get him to do it, but it might start the whole place on fire.
Well, I've actually seen a few
But
amateur wrestlers. I've seen a few amateur wrestlers after starving themselves for the last couple of days, and then even going to likes of taking X-Lax, trying to get rid of some last minute weight. But the thing is, if you're not taking any food in, nothing's coming back out of you. So the moment that they make weight, they go out and they binge real quickly on food, and now they're in the middle of a match. They hit some one little type of a strenuous type of a move, and next thing you know, they got a load in their drawers.
Mickey Gaskin, that was his name.
Yeah, it'd be a bad time to check the oil.
Yeah, well, that'd be a very poor time to check the oil.
So you've done both professional wrestling and you've done MMA. What do you think is harder, both to perform at and then as a physical toll on your body?
We guess, gentlemen, just got to speak up a little bit more. I know you're doing a comparison between the two, but I missed part of the points.
Okay, what I said was you've done both professional wrestling and you've done mixed martial arts. What do you think is harder to perform at, and then what do you think is more taxing on your body?
Well, yes, doing both. They're different. There is a physical preparation for both, and there's a mental preparation. For example, I'll use myself as a perfect example. I was first an amateur wrestler, and I always looked upon, as I walked on the mat, I had an opponent, and in professional wrestling, you're working in a partnership. As an amateur wrestler, it didn't matter what that crowd, if they were cheering or booing, because I was used to representing the United States. I'd be in a lot of foreign countries that did not like Americans, and so I was used to being just booed. I was always pretty good about just blocking them on outs, even blocking out the referees, to where real skill, I only had an opponent out there. Totally different for professional wrestling. You have to be aware of the referee. You have to be aware of the crowd. What are they responding to? I had to do a total rewiring of my mind to listen for what they're biting on, so that you can entertain the crowd. But it's the same way even in professional wrestling. There's having done all three, amateur wrestling, professional wrestling, and then mixed martial arts. Realistically, the safest thing I've done for my body, me personally, is the cage fighting. Which, it almost sounds like a contradiction in terms, but they're like, dude, you could do anything, because I started off doing that no holds barred era, NHP era, where most of your listeners, they're only used to the
commercial
terms MMA, mixed martial arts. Well, today's product of mixed martial arts, MMA, has approximately, it's either 47 or 49 rules. Weight classes, time periods, athletes wear gloves, you fight one opponent in a given evening, whereas back in that no holds barred era, the only two rules that you had to abide by was do not bite your opponent, and the other rule number 2 was do not stick any fingers in their eyes, no eye gouging. The only two rules that were there. Honestly, man, that was the only two rules there. No weight classes, no time periods, no unlimited time, and bare knuckled, and it was an 8-man tournament. So the same 2-hour pay-per-view that still runs to this day, where these men and women are facing one opponent. Well, back then you had to face and finish off 3, and you are listening to or speaking to the only Triple Crown champion in the UFC's no holds barred era.
Not only that, you beat a 205-pound champion too. You beat Forrest Griffin, who my son's named after.
Really?
Yeah.
I've actually had a chance to meet Forrest on a number of occasions since that time. Very, very, very easygoing, very comical, great guy.
Yeah, and my wife loves him, and he actually emailed us back when we were trying to come up with a name, and he's like, if the name sucks, you can change it. It's only $40. He's got a great sense of humor. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was. So.
Who's that person that you were most happy to beat in your whole professional fighting career? Was it Ken Shamrock, or maybe I don't know.
Well, that's happiest to beat. Well, I'll just simply say that. When I walked out in my preparation for Oleg Taktarov, I'd been to Russia previously, a few different times during my amateur wrestling days, I knew the mentality of the Russian athlete, and I actually knew walking into this cage, I'm going to have kill a man in order to beat him. Because even in my amateur wrestling days, you had to almost half kill a man there, utilizing the rules of amateur wrestling, of course, because could not punch and could not do all these other kind of things right there. But I'd say Oleg was someone I knew that when I walked into the cage, I was going to have to do things that I probably would not have done to somebody else. But then, going against Tank Abbott, an entirely different mindset there with him, because I saw what he did in one of his opening matches where he knocks out a 400-pound sumo there with one punch, and then while the guy just lays there, his body's stiffening up and doing funky chicken type of a wiggle there, Tank has the audacity there to strike him again. Yeah, well, that's what the funky chicken deal is, where your body's just involuntarily you just stiffen on up, and you're just laying there, but you're stiffening on up because your body's kind of going into little mini convulsions there. And I just couldn't believe that he struck this man while he laid there helpless like that. And I'm like, you bastard! I go,
physics defying.
And well, the thing that, guys, the name of this, I should say that this industry is known as mixed martial arts. I think a lot of these competitors need to go back and really learn the true meaning of martial arts. It's not some of the antics and stuff like that these guys are doing doesn't impress me whatsoever.
Are you talking about Conor McGregor type stuff, or?
Yeah, no. I mean, Conor McGregor. I can understand what he's doing, in a sense that he's putting on a show, trying to make as much money as possible. He gets it. There is, as I always tell people, because when people will talk down, I said, I've never met the man. I said, but all you got to do is go back to his very first couple matches, and you'll hear it in his voice. And he actually even says how happy he is to have been given this opportunity, how happy he is to have won, how happy he is to have gotten off of Ireland's version of welfare. But also the fact that he hears how the crowd is responding to him. He's thinking, well, gosh, if I say a few more outlandish kind of things, if I do some few more outlandish things, if I actually can follow through and do these outlandish things, look how much more money I can make. And I always tell people, I go, he gets it. There are no 401ks in the cage fighting world. Down the road, when he retires from this industry, he can write his little tell-all book and go, hey guys, I put this show on there for you because of the facts like that. And he will not be the first person. When you look at the likes of so many other boxers, kickboxers, Muay Thai, karate, kung fu, anyone that's in any of the pugilistic arts, you find out that the guys that know how to make the interviews more entertaining, more colorful, saying outlandish remarks, trash talking, all of those things come into play. Actually, those you were surprised about that. I'm involved in the marijuana industry to a certain extent. Well, also, I'm a big believer in that as well. And my training facility, known as Michigan Sports Camp here in Coldwater, Michigan, I have the marriage of both mixed martial arts and professional wrestling, so that fighters are a dime a dozen. What's going to make you different is how you carry yourself, what you're wearing, what you're saying, what you're doing.
You were one of the first guys that started to do that too. I remember your old interviews in the UFC, and you represented not only amateur wrestling well, you represented yourself as a professional wrestler as well too. Is that where you got the start in professional wrestling, or were you already professional wrestling by the time you fought?
My first profession was professional wrestling as of the 1992 Olympics, and then I jumped into UFC number 4 as of 1994. So I've been involved again in both industries. So, but never being exclusive to it. But it's being a professional wrestler, I already knew what I was going to do. I pre-planned when I walked out that cage, how was I going to carry myself? And what I was going to do as I'm standing in that cage, and the announcements are going to be being conducted. What was I going to be doing? How was I going to get that crowd behind me in a fashion that I am comfortable in? Because to me, it's like there's some people that are very comfortable making really outlandish type of remarks, stuff like this, getting into really colorful trash talking. Well, that was never going to be me, but I just kind of was more of the quiet type of person now. Simply just say that my actions will speak louder than what your words will ever say.
Hey, Dan, how about Royce Gracie? I would like to see a rematch. I would like to see you fight him again.
Me too.
Because I know you would definitely kick his ass.
What about Bellator?
Gentlemen, the thing is, I should have did what I was capable of doing 22 years ago, but I was a nice guy.
Is that when the Beast was born? When you lost to Royce Gracie?
No, don't say I lost, because you guys don't have a clue as to what I did. No one else has a clue as to what I did. I'll just simply say Christmas came early.
Did Royce Gracie put money in your pocket in the middle of that fight? He's like, "Here, I'm sick you beat me up."
You know what? The Beast felt sorry.
No. Nothing like that ever. No, nothing
Dan,
like that went down. Like I said, the only person that even knows what went down in that fight is me.
Hey, Dan, you felt sorry. You felt sorry for his dad.
I simply tell people, if you don't believe me, just get that rematch, and I will show you what should have happened 22 years ago now. But again, as I said before, to start, I'm a whole different type of athlete that you'll never interview ever again in your life. Just for sheer fact, when you look at what all I've accomplished in so many different fields. To start a cage fighting career just before turning 37 years of age, you walk away from it. But that's when opportunity first presented itself. And then to go 20 years beyond that, and then you open up with having 100 plus matches. There's only 4 people in the world that have over 100 matches. I'm one of the 4.
And you fought another one of them.
There's only 3 that have over 100 victories. I'm one of the 3. Now the ironic part is, I have faced the other 3. I have defeated the other 3, and the closest one to my age is 15 years my junior. Once again, puts me in a category all by myself. I'm lifetime chemical free. I don't think Brock Lesnar and a bunch of other people like that can ever claim that one.
So you're totally chemical free?
I did 2 training camps, 2 in a 20-year span.
Looking at your record, when did you didn't have any time to train? November 1st you fought, November 23rd you fought, May 16th you fought, May 24th you fought, June 14th, January 17th, January 24th, March 19th, March 20th. You're fighting like every week, every other week at least. And they're like not in the same state. You're going all across the country to other countries. That's insane.
Now all that is showing is just what I'm doing for my cage fight. It does not reflect all the professional wrestling stuff that I'm doing in between there. Doesn't reflect all the seminars I'm doing there. Doesn't reflect the law enforcement classes I'm doing, corrections classes I'm doing, speaking engagements I'm doing. It doesn't reflect none of that. All you're reading is off of what I'm doing off my mixed martial arts career alone. That's what I said. You find another man or woman that currently walks this planet or previously walked this planet that can come close to what I have accomplished, and I'm not done. That's just it. I'm not done.
I think you might be the only person that loves money more than me. God damn, how much money do you have?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's what I like about money is the freedom it buys you. A lot of people say that they quote the cliche, money is the root of all evil, and I go, well, no, that just all depends on what you do with it. So it's like my own children will never know what I'm worth until the reading of the will, and they'll be like, geez, well, why did Dad do this? Well, why did Dad do that? I said, I do things for a reason for them, because I don't want them to turn out to be little shits. Like I see so many other people's kids that were given things left and right.
I got a question about you as a father myself. Does all the time away from your family affect you and your family?
Summertime, okay, all the time. I missed part of it.
Oh, I said, as a father myself, I do MMA. I fought myself. I wrestled. I help out, I announce, I'm all over the place, but nothing close to like you are. As a father, do you think it's affected your family life and your children?
Oh, of course it has.
Do you think
Yeah, of course it has. I'll say that the line that I've used to my kids all the time is that I know I've been an absentee father for the most part. I go, I'm only a phone call away. If you need me for anything, just call. I will. I don't care what I'm doing. I will pick up. But is it the same thing as being there? No. It's still, I'd say it's almost like a Band-Aid to a broken leg. That's probably the only area that, what I did, why I did it in the first place. I don't know. It's probably a more long drawn out story, but I moved to Coldwater, Michigan for a job opportunity. Within a 2 weeks time span, I was given 2 weeks by this company. I was working for one company already. They liked what I was doing, and they were going on doing some bigger, better things in the Coldwater, Michigan area. And so now they're offering me, more money, profit sharing, all kinds of bell, buzz, and whistles that a young family man would like to hear. And I'm like, well, how much time do I have to make a decision? And they're like, 2 weeks. And literally in a 2 week span, I sold a home. I bought a home. I bought a home based upon the new salary. And I went to work, and at the end of the first week, I did not have a job.
Oh, man.
And this was all right around that fall of 91, 92 time period. It was kind of like the last great recession that the U.S. went into. I couldn't find the guy that even hired me. It's kind of like I'm giving you this long drawn story but I just tell people that there's a cliche. It's called "Mother is the what is it? Mother is necessity is the mother of invention." And I changed it just a little bit. I go, necessity was the father of invention. I had to keep a roof over my family's head, and I had to keep food on the table. And I made money the old-fashioned way. I went out and I took it. I climbed into cages. I climbed into rings, and I beat people up and took it.
What do you think about the fighters union? Speaking of money, do you think it's ever gonna go through? Do you think the association is ever gonna become a union? Are you interested at all, or do you think they should have to scrap their way through like you did, the fighters today?
Well, no. I do believe something like that will eventually come to fruition. I don't know how soon, but it's the right thing to have done. Especially if you look at a company like the UFC in the first place. If you're doing well. I mean, you can't ask people to do it if they can't afford it. But if your company is moving up and doing well, and it's taking in more and more income, even if you took a look at an example, what if they only put in $1 million a year into a fund, and they only ever, again, because I always look at practicality, you can't just burn through $1 million bucks. But let's say you put $1 million in there, and you say we're going to operate off of 90% of the interest because we want this fund to continue to grow. And then next year you throw in another $1 million, and we're only using up to 90% of the interest that has grown. You got to look at the new ownership has owned this company since I don't know how long it was. I'm sorry. I should say ownership number 3. Between Zuffa and Dana White. What they owned it for. They have prospered quite nicely. There could easily be tens of millions of dollars could be in that fund, and if it was growing at that 10% rate over and above that, it's not like guys are getting destroyed on an annual basis. That's not the case. But you might still see some more of the hyperbaric chambers, the ECP machines, and the CBD portions being utilized for these athletes. Same way it will be utilized for our soldiers, returning soldiers, because that's one of the things that I'm involved with in this program is for the returning servicemen that represent our country in a whole different way. So,
speaking of negotiating with the UFC, a lot of the high-level athletes and UFC fighters at the time that you were fighting had very public contract negotiation problems with the UFC. You were very quiet about your contract negotiations, at least publicly. Did you ever have trouble with SEG and then Zuffa? or did you just not care because you're such a big name yourself that you can just go out and make money wherever you need to go to make money?
Well, I'll just say that I've worked for, up to this point, I've worked for the first 3 ownerships. And at one point in time, I even set up a meeting. This was, I'll say, early on in the Zuffa takeover, that I actually set up a meeting that I was out in Arizona at the time. And I said, I'd like to set up a meeting, travel on in, and I just wanted to, just kind of meet with Dana White and, whomever at that time frame. And it was him and Lorenzo Fertitta that I ended up meeting with. So basically, it was kind of like how the meeting kind of started on off. I go, well, gentlemen, I said, you guys may or may not know really of me, but I go, you really don't know me. And I said, I just want to just take this opportunity just to kind of stop in here, maybe take 20, 30 minutes of your time just to let you know a little bit more about who I am and what I'm capable of doing for your company and what I have done with some of the previous ownerships of this company. Because probably the worst ownership time period would have been for Bob Meyerowitz of the Semaphore Entertainment Group when he bought it off of Gracie, Jorge and Gracie and Art Davey. Yeah, it's a strong blank to remember, but yeah, Art Davey was the actual brainchild creator of the Ultimate Fighting Championships. He basically recruited Jorge and Gracie because he needed someone in the fight world, and he had heard of this Gracie challenge, stuff like that. So he brought on Jorge and Gracie. So like I said, it's when Bob Marowitz was the ownership of it. The company was coming underneath the greatest scrutiny. He had Senator John McCain rallying all the forces of legislators and athletic commissioners trying to come down upon this no-holds-barred product, calling it the decline of civilization, gladiators, and things of that nature. So yours truly was the only athlete's representative that they ever brought in to speak on their behalf, because I don't have tattoo 1. I don't have body piercing 1. I have 5 kids. I'm married. I am an educated man. I'm a teacher. I worked at 2 different universities. Was I the norm? No. I don't even think you can find that norm even today, 20 years later. I was not the norm.
You've always been a revolutionary figure in the sport of MMA.
Hey, Dan, what you think about Brian Moore with the Legend of the Cage?
What was the question about Brian?
What do you think about the Legend of the Cage organization?
Well, I mean, it's they've talked to me quite a bit what they want to do and things of that nature, and then I pitched them a few ideas of what they can do and to help. Their whole purpose is, they want to help some of the guys that were in that pioneers type of days. Because they did not bask in the glory or the money that the more modern day mixed martial artist is receiving.
I got a couple questions about your fight career real quick. Is Dan Severn, or not Dan Severn, you're Dan Severn. Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, I know, but there's sometimes I talk in third person, so I'm okay.
Was Dan the B7 stronger than Mark Coleman, or is Mark Coleman one of the strongest guys that ever fought in UFC?
Well, gentlemen, Mark Coleman on steroids is a very formidable opponent. All natural Dan Severn is a very freakishly strong person. So, and but I have never ventured into the ground of steroid use. That's why I always tell people that I can look at myself in the mirror and know that I've accomplished all my success on my own ability. I've outlived, I think, 3 or 4 of my cage fighting opponents and almost 30 of my professional wrestling partners, and none of them are older than me. So that right there tells you something about lifestyle choices. None of us going to get out of the game alive, but I'd like to stick around as long as possible, and I'd like to have as quality of a life as I possibly can have.
Do you think the reason that you were able to do everything that you've been able to do with pro wrestling and MMA and the frequency that you fought and that you're still a pretty normal guy is that you never abused drugs? You You never did steroids. Your body hasn't fallen apart. I mean, look at Mark Coleman. He had to have the hip surgery. He couldn't afford it. All these guys are having all the health problems, and look at who they were. They were all the huge guys that you would assume are juiced up.
But the Beast, no way. He's healthy and kicking ass.
Yeah, well, I always tell people the only sauce that you're going to find, you might find some spaghetti sauce, Indian mustache. There might be about it. But no, I'd say a lot of that is true about the lifestyle choices and not going that route. But then also not being swayed by instructors to try to turn you into something that you are not. Give you a perfect example of this. When I first saw the Ultimate Fighting Championships, you got to realize pay-per-views were not abundant like they are today. The cell phone was not advanced as it is today. The cell phone existed, but it was a very kind of primitive type of mode of device still. And a buddy of mine watched the first couple Ultimate Fighting Championships, because they lived in a larger metropolitan area, and that's what pay-per-views were only being aired in larger metropolitan areas. And I lived out in Podunk, rural Coldwater, and so no one knows about what was taking place there. So my buddy, he watches the first couple of UFCs. He copies them on an old VHS tape, and he shows it to me. He says, "You ought to think about doing this." Well, I'm seeing people being soccer kicked in the face, teeth defying on out. And I look at him, I said, well, these are not exactly skills I possess. But he says, well, look at this skinny little guy doing jiu-jitsu. Of course, he was referring to Royce Gracie. And I'm like, well, it looks like wrestling in pajamas to me. I figured that if the hand's close enough to throw down upon me, I either just back up, stay out of range. And as he recoils, I'll simply just slide on up to him, clinch him, take him down, jam him up against that cage wall, and I will welcome him to my world of amateur wrestling. And that little tidbit of how I thought I could do this served me very, very well for a 20-year career. I never tried to be something I wasn't. I've been an amateur wrestler since 1969, and 1994 I'm going to jump in and become a cage fighter. Well, I simply knew that my hands were not going to be the weapons that were going to destroy someone with playing rock'em sock'em robot action there taking place. I simply knew that I wanted to learn enough to protect myself, enough to throw off maybe a couple combinations if I could. But the whole thing was how to protect, close that distance, to clinch, to take down or jam people up against the cage wall. And now, in the midst of that clinch, you are now in my world, and you will never see the light of day again unless I decide to cut you loose. Because the reward is you're going to punch, kick, knee, elbow, and I don't want to be hit with any of the above. That's why, again, I always tell people to have done as many matches as I've done, not just in cage fighting. Look at professional wrestlers. Professional wrestlers are the guys that are most notable for their big old gnarled up looking cauliflower ears. There's even an organization known as the Cauliflower Alley Club, and their mascot is the cauliflower ear. I wore headgear all the time, even in practice. I probably the guy that looked like the biggest dork in the world wearing his headgear doing this, that, and the whole 9 yards. I go, but at the same token, one day when I'm 70, 80, 90, hopefully about 125 before I leave this earth, I don't want to be that thing that people are pointing towards. Look at, man, this guy is hideous looking. What happened to him?
Hey, Mr. the Beast, my wife loves my cauliflower ear, just so you know. She likes to chew on it.
I got big ears. I had to get the blood drain.
But I mean, I'll say that the same token, but at the same in the same breath, there a lot of people. There's some cool sayings coming out there, like if you're ever at a bar, never pick a fight with someone that has cauliflower ears.
Fear the ears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great saying right there.
Dan's gonna steal that one.
Hey Dan, how about Ken Shamrock?
I'm already marketing it right now. I'm feeling it right now.
Hey Beast, what about Ken Shamrock? Was he ever a cool guy? Because I hear a lot of fighters don't like him as a person.
Did you say that there's a lot of guys that don't like him?
Yeah. Oh yeah, everyone we have on hates Ken Shamrock so far.
Well, let's Let me put it to you this way. Nothing I'm saying is going to be kind. I've been to a lot of these big mixed martial arts expos. So there'll be a lot of different talented names, and there'll be all kinds of products, stuff like this, seminars taking place, and people will have spoken to him, and they'll come over, and then they'll speak to me, and literally after just a few minutes of speaking to me, the standard line I always hear from him is, "You're not at all what we would expect you to be like." And I go, "What does that mean?" That the fact that I'm engaging in conversation, comical and things of that nature. And like, yeah, they're like, "No, did not expect you." I said, what I do as a competitor is one thing. What I'm like outside of the arena of competition is a whole different animal. I am that guy that knows how to turn it on and then to turn it on off, because if I couldn't turn it on off, I'd probably be in jail or prison at this point in time. Now, and a lot of these guys, they had just come back from Ken's place, and they're like, they all kind of lean and they're like, "Well, why is Ken such a dick?" And I'm like going, "Oh, I don't know. Let's go over and ask him." I have no idea. I mean, I can't speak for the guy. I don't even know the guy. So,
you fought him twice, and maybe you fought him more. I don't know, but the one fight.
No, just on the two occasions, and even like I said, it's just on those two occasions. But it's not like I ever really knew the guy. It's not like we're in the cage and going, "Hey, Ken, how's the wife and kids? Oh, not that bad. They're dead here. Smack them back." No, we're not engaging in conversation. We're out there to try to take each other apart.
What happened in that second fight where you guys were just standing around and there was no punches being thrown? I heard from a lot of different people that the police came in and told you guys that if you punch each other, you were going to be arrested. Can you talk about that fight a little bit?
Yeah, I missed part of what you said there. Just please repeat.
Okay, I said you and Ken had a fight where you guys fought and you pretty much stood around. You kind of slapped each other, but it was like 30 minutes of dancing. A lot of people say that fight was really boring, but I've heard that the police told you guys that you weren't allowed to punch each other, or they would come in and arrest you after the fight because you guys were the two main eventers of the fight, and that the legal ramifications were going to fall on you too. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that particular Ultimate Fighting Championship took place in Detroit, Michigan. And as of 5 o'clock that day, and again, this is show night, a number of representatives were in court coming out to find out what they were going to be allowed to do. Will the show even be allowed to still take place that evening? And it was going to be allowed, but there was like all these different rules and regulations. So literally, when Big John McCarthy got back to the arena, he went into each of the locker rooms to speak to the athletes and tell them exactly what all went down. And in the process, when John was in my locker room, and he basically probably giving the same spiel because John's very, very regulated like that. He's going through there, he's explaining, he goes, if you get down there and you throw a close punch, you will be warned. And then, and then you went to everything else. I go, well, I says, and I asked the question because you'll find that I'm a curious George. I ask lots of questions. And matter of fact, I'm the guy that probably has given John the biggest, I'll say, biggest fit and probably biggest smile on his face because of some of the darndest questions I will ask him at times. But I said, well, John, how many warnings do you get? And he goes, 7. He goes, you will be warned. So I always would go out and would watch, no matter what show I'm at. I'd always go out and watch maybe the first match or two to see how are the referees calling stuff tonight. So I go out there and watch this first match, and I think it was Cal Worsham versus somebody else. And all I know is like there was like a headbutt thrown, and I hear warning. I see a second headbutt. I hear the word warning. I see the third headbutt warning. I'm hearing all these warnings. I'm not seeing a single point being deducted. I'm thinking, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go into this match as game on until a warning or a point, actual deduction takes place. And so, nothing really happened. But that match was, it was it was different for a whole lot of reasons. A lot of people did not like that match. Well, I'm glad. That was my whole purpose. To me, it's like, you talk about understanding the mental mindset of people. Well, I had studied. I studied Ken's matches. He's not really the aggressor as much as he's a counter attacker. And I thought, all right, if I simply just approach him and nothing happens, and I just circle him, I go, the crowd is going to get annoyed by this match, and they're going to start to boo and hiss and the whole 9 yards. How are you going to allow that crowd to affect you? Oh, and it was affecting him big time. And it was, it even got, the crowd was chanting bullshit. They were chanting Red Wings. They were chanting, even, to point that somebody from the outside got John's attention and to say, you got to make these guys fight and stuff like this, so that they actually stopped the match. And they pushed Ken back into his corner in his cage, and you guys came here to fight, blah blah blah. Well, doggone it, then fight. And as John is, telling me to get back to my corner, I'm just saying, John, just take your shirt on off. We'll make this a three-way triangle death match here right now. I mean, because I had an agenda, and I'm not going to disper my agenda for nobody. My agenda was, I'm going to piss off 10,000 people, and I pissed off 10,000 people, and it affected Ken Shamrock. I always tell people, you people want to talk, you can talk all you want. You want to climb in that cage with me? When that steel door shuts, and then that boat slides into place, and I stare back over to you, I can smell the fear. And as I approach you, there will be nothing but a little yellow puddle that will form at the base of your feet. That's how confident I am, because of my international experience. What I've done representing the United States in overseas markets where Americans are being hated and competing against. I've been hurt, actually, once again, far worse in my amateur wrestling career than I have in all of my cage fights combined. And there's supposed to be rules and regulations, but you'd be surprised when you're on foreign soil and have a foreign referee. It'll be you're being homered left and right because it's part of the old communist bloc. And that's what I tell people. I said I was still wrestling during the Cold War era.
That's true.
I remember you telling stories about Turkey wrestling on a dirt floor or something back in the UFC days. Like, that's just crazy. And just so the fans understand, not only did you do that, you did it in Detroit, Michigan, like your hometown. That's crazy that you could stand up to the booing. It just shows the mental fortitude that you have. That's amazing. And at the time, headbutts were legal. He said he was not being warned about headbutts, but at that time in UFC, headbutts were okay. My co-host was looking at me like all crazy when you said there was headbutts going on.
Okay, guys, think about this, okay, Raymond, Jeff. How do you even practice? How do you practice headbutts? Do you say, hey, Jeff, how does this headbutt feel? No, not quite right. Let's do that. Let's practice that again.
Jeff will do that.
I loved headbutts when I fought.
I mean, I did have one match. My second encounter with Oleg Taktarov, where I delivered well over 300 headbutts in a 30-minute match. Within probably 20 minutes after the match was done, they rushed him to the hospital because his skull was swollen on up. And me, I took 2 ibuprofen and I was good to go.
Mark Coleman was the king of headbutts. Do you think the steroids and human growth hormone helped him shield his head, or do you think it's just a wrestler thing? We got hard heads.
No. I mean, steroids are going to do. I mean, steroids do several things there for you. First, they make you much more aggressive. I mean, you're going to put on strength. You're going to put on size. It's I say even today that you can make Frankenstein today if you wanted to. If you had if you took a 7-foot tall basketball player's frame and you put them on the right chemicals, you could probably get them up to about 400 to 500 pounds of just rock muscle, and would be a destruction machine. They'd have a reach like no other. They'd have a kick like no other. But so you can build that person. I being inside the professional wrestling industry, working with the WWF, now known as WWE, seeing what these guys are taking on. I'd be in the locker room and they'd be pulling out bottle after bottle lining on up right there, and then another guys will be in the locker room, they'll be lining up their stuff. They go, "What do you got?" And they're trading out left and right. And I'm just kind of laying there, kind of just watching this, and they're like, "Dan, you need anything?" And I'm like, well, I'm good. So,
Dan,
but some of those same people are no longer here.
yeah. Dan the Beast is my hero.
Yeah, mine too. You were the first wrestler that came in. I was a JUCO wrestler at the time, and I was waiting for a real wrestler to get into the UFC. And you came in and you show what wrestling can do, and you represented the art that I love so much.
I like the suplex he did.
Well, I know that was actually that match, because that match has come up a lot. That match with Anthony Macias, that was my very first match ever, where literally nobody had ever seen someone grab another human being like that and just launch him to the air. Of course, professional wrestling industry would love it because that's the German suplex. So, professional wrestlers just, I probably got more bookings professional wrestling wise because they're like, dude, you're pulling off German suplex in the middle of a cage like that. It's so awesome.
5 points for Dan. There we go. Big throw.
Exactly. Grand, very good at the scoring. Yeah, that's true. Grand aptitude, 5-point throw.
Yeah,
yes, you are. Wow.
For sure, man. That's great. I was wrestling freestyle in the summer times then, and man, I was so impressed by that. One thing that really impressed me with your Cool Under Fire is you came out with John McCarthy one time, and he gives a pre-fight instructions, and he asked, "Do you have any questions?" And you asked this joke or riddle or something. I couldn't hear what you said actually on a pay-per-view broadcast, but that just showed how strong you were mentally. I don't think I could do that. I fought, and at that time, I'm just staring my guy down. Just the calmness that you've had at that point is amazing.
That's realistically, I did not know that John was mic'd. Otherwise, I may not have said anything. But in my very first time I walked into the cage, John, actually he does the same with both corners. He goes over the corner and he talks to you first, the athlete, goes through his very professional spiel, and always at the end, he just looks at it and goes, "Are there any questions?" And then if you don't have the questions, he then turns right to the corner person, then goes right into his spiel then with the corner man. So this is my first time going through this deal there, and he's going through his spiel and gets to that point, well, are there any questions? Well, I can't think of nothing. So as he is turning away to talk to my corner man, I simply blurted out, where did all that money go that my parents paid for piano lessons? And he said he heard it, but when he looked back at me, he goes, "It couldn't have come from me because I had my game face on." But then the second time, I hit him with another one-liner, and he sees me directly, comes right out of my mouth, and his wife Elaine was the travel coordinator at the time, and then he goes back and says, "This guy's crazy. He's pulling off one-liners." Before his match, and then they come to get to know me. I go out to dinner. I meet the whole family, I end up getting Elaine. He actually gives me a little dirt on Big John there. So in one of my matches, I'm actually carrying on a conversation with Big John while fighting my opponent. Even in that one encounter, the second encounter where I was underneath Ken for almost 5 minutes. It's the first time that anyone has been able to defuse another opponent who has a full mount on you for over 5 minutes. Ken couldn't do a single thing to me.
That was back in the day when guys tapped out when it got mounted. Just so people don't even understand the era we're talking about. Back in the day, you got mounted, people would tap out. It was so crazy. Not even punches thrown, they just tap out. And Dan Severn changed some of MMA. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir. Keep going.
No. That's fine. No, I mean, it's true what you're saying. But the one liner about the whole deal is Big John. He's down there close. He's kind of watching all the action, and Ken can't do nothing from me. And out of the blue, I poke my head out from underneath Ken's body. I look right back up at Big John. I go, "It's a hell of a way to make a buck." And I put my head right back underneath. And he just couldn't believe the composure that I have and what I was doing.
Hey, Dan, so you got a promotion, right? You had a promotion. You had some fights last week.
Dangerzone MMA is my MMA company, and then I have POG which stands for Price of Glory, is my professional wrestling company. On top of Michigan Sports Camps is the name of my 10,000 square foot training facility here in Coldwater, Michigan. On top of working with law enforcement since I think 94, corrections since 95, and since that time adding air marshals, border patrol, military, and I'm actually the very first civilian ever to be on the world's largest private security company, VXL. And so I'm a very privileged individual in the sense that working with a broad diversification of clientele.
Cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ray.
Oh yeah, Dan. Too. If when you have another show, we should you should come on again and we should talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely
Yeah,
we'll get
also, guys, I don't know if you realize this. Also, I'm also now known as an author. I had my first book come out as of this past July 2016. The realist. It's titled "The Realest Guy in the Room: The Life and Times of Me, Dan Severn."
Wow, I haven't seen that book. I'm gonna have to get it. It's on Amazon.
Everybody
Yes,
got
it was actually the first couple of weeks. It went right to Amazon, #1 bestseller on Amazon.com, and it's still for sale there at Amazon.com.
You can tell what an amateur host I am. I didn't even know I had a goddamn book.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry. I apologize. I will pick up your book.
Don't make the beast come over here and kick your ass.
I'm not,
No. I always tell people, and it's not a pop-up book either. So
What? I can't read. Ray's gonna have to read it to me.
I can't read either. We in trouble.
lots and lots of pictures. That's all. Just lots
All
of
right. Thank God. God damn.
connect the dots. Can you color it inside the lines?
Hello,
that kind of
coloring.
thing, yeah.
Color book.
Colored by numbers, I hope. If there's gotta be numbers, so I know what color to color this stuff. Like one's green, two's red. What do you think about
Well,
this?
even like yesterday, because yesterday we had our PRG show in Coldwater, Michigan, but earlier in the day I had a couple submission grapplers that came in, so I worked out with the submission grapplers for about 2 hours. Just got cleaned up, then I went up to the show because and then was part of the show, and even by the time the day kind of came to an end, one of our sponsors, a local bar and restaurant, we went there, and it was probably a little after 2 o'clock this morning. I finally laid my head down.
God damn. You said submission wrestlers. Do you believe in jiu-jitsu or do you do
catch
catch wrestling? What do you think's better
Well,
and why?
when I say submission grapplers, it would be non-gi type of application. There's gi work and then there's non-gi type of applications. But even then, there's certain leg locks and heel hooks, stuff like this. It all depends on the organization. So it's I've been toying with the idea for probably close to 20 years as well. I've come out with a submission grappling organization, and I think it will probably materialize. And I'll bet 6 months or less it will come to fruition.
I'm going to come compete then, for sure.
Oh yeah, we gotta compete.
Eddie Bravo started EBI, man. If you can get some sort of rule set like that, where they have a submission only and then they have that overtime, I don't know how you feel about that. It's kind of, but they allow every submission, so that's kind of right up your alley.
Now, Dan.
Well, I think that people want to see victory. So to me, it's like if you do end up your match in regulation time as a draw, to me, automatically just go right into sudden death overtime. First point scores wins, but I hate to say point because that's I'd rather see a submission.
Yeah, and
than time just elapse out because it's grappling is not. It's not a spectator-friendly sport. Even when you watch mixed martial arts, most spectators do not understand what these guys are doing down on the ground. If it's ground and pound, yeah, they understand that. Or if it's a real, they'll understand an arm bar possibly, but other little nuances, no.
The EBI overtime, what they do is they either have a guy in the back with the seatbelt on, or they start you in an arm bar. And then if you submit your opponent gets a chance to submit you, and then whoever did it faster wins. If you escape, whoever escapes faster wins, and that's how they do the rule set. I don't know if you want to steal that idea or not, but I kind of like that rule set.
What company was that for?
Eddie Bravo Invitational. Eddie Bravo came up with that. It's called the EBI.
Yeah, I may look that up then a little bit later on.
Yeah, you should definitely check that out. You can just tweak the rules a little bit and make it the Dan Severn Wrestling League or something. That's what I would do.
No, Joe. Rest assured, I already have a couple ideas of how I want to do this in the first place, to make it kind of unique. But my whole aspect is, I want it to be spectator friendly, so that the fans that come to watch it can actually understand. Because, for example, my background is heavily amateur wrestling. The only people that come to watch amateur wrestling is moms and dads, aunts and uncles, and grandparents. That's it.
That's crazy about
And
amateur.
even
It's crazy about amateur wrestling. I wrestled my whole life. My wife's married to me. I bet you she couldn't even tell you how scoring works for wrestling. Amateur wrestling is not very fan friendly, just like you're saying. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's not. That's why I always tell people it just if it was, there would be lots of people. There'd be pay-per-views running around. It's not. It's something that I give credit to all the time for helping me to become the person that I am, because you are an individual. You know, when it's what's the definition of amateur wrestling? A team sport based upon individual performances. The team can lose and I can still win. I loved football more than I did wrestling. I was a one-man wrecking machine on that football field. I loved it, but we would lose games, and that just would frustrate me when guys would miss blocks, miss tackles, and here I am doing 100 to 101%. To me, it's like a lot of these coaches will say, "Give me 110, give me 100, 150%." I always say, "Coach, obviously you do not understand math. There is no such thing as 110. There is no such thing as 150%. Otherwise, that person would explode. There is only a maximum of 100%, and most of the people I know will never even flirt with 90."
Right. I always liked wrestling because I was little and I could actually do it.
I go on to say that if you hit 101%, that is when your body actually you actually go into a whole different state of euphoria, to where you literally will see things unfold before they ever happen. You are aware. It's kind of like it's a state that I've gone into a few times in matches where everything just slowed down and everything just was becoming unfolded before my eyes, and I knew what the guy was doing before he ever knew what he was doing, and winning matches. But that's so I tell people that very few people will ever experience that in their lives.
It sounds like you're equating that to the zone, like players say they're in the zone. So you're saying 101% is normal people equate to being in the zone. Like Michael Jordan would be in the zone, he hit 5 3-pointers. He's giving 101%. Then you're saying. Yeah,
exactly. That is. But there's a lot of things that I do training wise here that I think are kind of unique. Because there's a lot of times that as I'm grappling guys, especially if I'll go into the point that I will just lay down on the mat and just various kinds of positions. I'll lay belly down, belly up, curl up in a fetal position, and the name of the game is you touch, we go. So the moment that you make any kind of physical contact, and you can come in any direction you want to come in, north, south, east, west. I've had guys literally that straddle on top, and then all of a sudden they just drop it on down and boom, they're right on top. And as soon as they touch, game on. And it's submission grappling. But then I would train guys MMA wise the same way that we're going to be doing live submission grappling with simulated MMA striking. So you're wearing MMA gloves, and you're practicing hammer strikes, punches, things of that nature, but only to very light touch, so you realize if this was done for real, you're going to really get hurt. But that's just a way of, you have to know how to practice so that your practice partners aren't getting hurt, and so that you're not getting hurt as well. And I really pride myself in that I've had my own personal training facility going here for just over 20 years now, and I've only had one major injury in all those years, and that was with two guys screwing around before class ever started.
That's how it always happens too. There's always something goofing around that people get hurt.
Mickey Gaskin.
Yeah, well, that is usually when accidents do happen, when they're doing some ridiculous type of things there. But I always tell people, I go, quickly get in position, slowly apply pressure, because I don't know your range of motion. We're all going to be different into it. And I always say that you got to think from the other person's perspective. We all have to go back to work come tomorrow. I can't go back to work tomorrow with my elbow, hyperextended or broken, or my head's been twisted around and things of that nature. Just some people, they just don't think. Or as I like to say, common sense is not very common anymore.
It's sure not. What do you think about sparring? There's becoming a big movement in MMA that you don't need to do as much heavy sparring as guys have been doing their whole career. You don't seem like you have any kind of CTE issues or any problems with your head. You're very articulate. You sound really good. You're not punch drunk at all. How much sparring did you do, and do you think it's necessary? Maybe you are a little punch drunk. I don't know, but you always seem a little wacky, so you seem all right.
Well, I'll put it like this: 4 out of 5 of the voices in my head say I'm doing just fine today.
As long as you're not losing the arguments, you're all right.
Darn it, I think I have lost that one. I'll tell you what. Why is it? Why is it though? I have never won an argument with my better half. She is still the undisputed king.
I don't know. I have that same problem, so.
Darn it.
I was hoping you'd have some advice for me. You know, you're battle worn. You've been all over every country. And if you don't know, there's no hope for me.
I'll write that in my next. I'll write that in my next bestseller. How to defend yourself against a woman. It will be a very, very thin book, about 1 page. You have no chance.
I think I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. I got the look. I should ban my wife from the studio.
Hopefully she won't hear this interview anytime soon. Okay.
Oh.
I don't think this happened. She's got her headphones on right now. Oh man. So seriously though, what do you think about the sparring aspect of MMA? Do you think you need to do that heavy sparring, or do you think it's not as necessary?
No, you have to spar, but once again, understanding percentiles and to touch. There's a lot of times when I was sparring, it was strictly almost like, well, just it's the same way as almost practicing for professional wrestling, knowing that I'm making touching contact, but without impact. But you should see how many times that I could throw the scare into whoever I was practicing with, because I do the same thing with throwing elbows, throwing knees, headbutts, the whole 9 yards. Because I would, as I'm practicing, I would try to tell my guys, when you do things, both mechanically, physically going through the motions, but then verbalizing it, that you're posting your hand on their face, your extension, and now you're going to collapse on down, forearm smash. There's things that I taught and would do that still are not done in the arena yet today. And that's where I would tell people, I go, I do, even when it comes to just mixed martial arts, I'll go in there inside the cage with a small group of just pro-level guys. And I go, just pick my lane. What is your problem area? And I work on it. I go, I'm not going to teach you how to be a great striker, because that was not my forte. I'll teach you how not to get struck. I'll teach you how to do other aspects of that. I'm not going to teach you how to be a great striker. I was probably, in my opinion, probably one of the best guys in close quarter combatives. But most of the things that I did was not spectator friendly. People couldn't see how I was jaw jacking people, how I could take my shoulder and literally punch my opponent right in the throat, how I'd stomp a foot, knee to inner thighs, knee to the outside. But it's stuff that the people didn't see. Even Rashad Evans, he was a amateur wrestler up at Michigan State University. Came down to my place to first start learning the likes of mixed martial arts. Did his first couple matches on my company, Dangerzone, but then I'm the guy that helped him get into his first pro level tournament for I think it was either Gladiator Challenge or King of the Cage, and then basically help him get into the Ultimate Fighter. And after that, the rest is history there for what happened. But his comment to me several times goes, "Dude," he goes, "show me how you hit me so many different ways." He says, I don't even know where it's coming from, but no one else sees it. But it's nothing of magnitude. You see everyone winding up for the big ground and pound, as I call it, Donkey Kong 101.
I like that.
So, but Donkey Kong might look good, but it's not a very practical application in the fighting arts. My stuff is all done in very close quarter combatives. It's nothing. None of these are devastating shots that are going to knock you out, but I refer to them as mental distractions, whatever you were thinking about, the moment that you get hit, I just scramble them, and you're wondering, where did that come from? And how do I prevent the next one from making connection? But I can pop a guy so many different ways, and just the way that I could use the way I drove with my legs, the way that I used my body weight and positioning, the way I could use, everyone today still says the mount is the position to go for. Boy, I tell you what, when you're in the mount, how many weapons do you have to use? That do you have at your disposal?
2 or 4
Two.
if you count elbows.
Just two. You just have your two hands, and if a man moves at all underneath you, you're down to one because you got to drop the other hand down to catch your balance. In the crossbody or cross mount position, you start off with 4 weapons, and at all times you always have 2. To me, I finish off more people in the crossbody or the cross mount position than probably anybody alive today.
So you think side control is better than half guard for inflicting ground and pound?
Well, I'm okay with half guard as well, though. But no, I would go with cross mount any day.
Okay, most wrestlers that I know actually prefer half guard for dealing the damage there. I like cross side myself.
No, again, to me, I'm just a big believer that in practice you practice all the worst positions that you don't like to be into, so that you at least have some type of arsenal that when it eventually does come, what you rely upon. So I always put people, again, I'll put you down on the ground, and someone will be in a mount position. I know they'll be inside your guard. They might be in the half guard or half mount. It's just, to me, it's always whose perspective you want to look at this from. So.
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you in your career? Craziest outing, craziest story, craziest guy maybe? Just something cool to end the show on.
Huh. Well, okay, here's this is a little bit of a comical type of a story here.
Perfect. That's what we're all about.
I'm going to the island of Guam, and the promoter picks me up. I'm gonna leave all the names out here just to keep everyone innocent of this story.
We can name names on here. We're not that popular.
Okay, so he says, "Well, are you tired?" I go, it all depends. I go, what do you have in mind? He says, I need to stop at a sponsor's place on the way back to the hotel. I go, well, that's fine. Let's stop at the sponsor. Well, he pulls into an all nude joint known as the G Spot. And so my comment to him, I go, wow, I said, it's every man's elusive dream to locate the G Spot, and I found it right here on the island of Guam. So there you go. There's a little comical tidbit there. How's that?
That was pretty good. Have you ever had any concussion problems or head trauma problems?
Nope.
Not you. No one cares about you.
I missed it. What kind of problems?
Like head trauma problems, concussion problems, memory problems, anything to deal with fighting?
Memory. I mean, in just the sense that I do too much. I always tell people that I'm still back probably dial-up modem capabilities, and everyone else is at this overdrive here right now. And because today, just working on a computer, it just boggles my mind how this social media stuff just keeps advancing. It wasn't really all that long ago that it was what was it called? Facebook.
Yep.
Or MySpace. Yeah, MySpace. It was MySpace, and no one will actually hardly recall it's MySpace. Now it's all this, Facebook and things of that nature. It just, the cell phone, it was non-existent when I was still finishing up my college years. It was around, but it was the size of a walkie-talkie, and a car phone was just that it was actually a phone that was wired into your car. You couldn't carry it around with you and stuff like that.
So rich people had them.
All this technology, I just feel like with each passing, 4 to 6 months, I kind of feel like I keep falling a little further behind. In a lot of ways, I am and have been way beyond my years in advance of the thoughts I have with where the sport is going, how it should take place, even before restarting up the Dangerzone MMA company, I wasn't going to start up unless I could get a rule change. So I went down. So I went to the state of Indiana because the state of Michigan is so. The athletic commission there they just don't know what they're doing. I hate to say it like that, but that's point blank. They just when you have people that are non-athletes, bureaucrats, legislators, pencil pushers that know nothing about your sport, and then they want and then they're going to regulate the sport. No, you the sport has been around for 22 years now. To me, I look at it's like if you go to college, there's a 4-year degree, there's a 2-year degree. If you've been working, you should have a minimum of 2 years experience with actual mixed martial arts, whether you're training in a gym or dojo, whatever. But or if you've got 4 years experience with it, you should be that much more. But I'd even have more credibility if you had done a couple matches and you've been training for 4 or more years. You really have understanding of what these athletes are thinking, what they're going through, and then you might actually put together some proper rules and regulations in place. This is still very much a blue-collar sport. And I equate it to like amateur wrestling has always been a blue-collar sport, and these guys are looking for opportunities. But some of the rules and regulations, just once again, common sense is not very common.
I hear you. We're from New York, so we definitely understand what you're talking about. New York is going to be just as bad as Pennsylvania for sure.
Well, the hardest part there is for getting some of the mixed martial arts is just the different unions and stuff like that you're dealing with there too. It's just that's even a whole different story with that.
So what rule were you trying to get changed?
Well, now the rule I ended up changing it. Well, it's called I did get it changed, or I should say. They not that I was trying to get a rule change. I wanted to make sure that I would be allowed to do a rule change, and the recipient called it now. They call it the beast mode rule, and I'm limiting because it's yours truly come up with it, and it's limiting the amount of time down on the ground, which a lot of people say, well they're already doing that. No, I go, well, that is true, they're doing it, but it's based upon human error. You have, because like the three of us, Raymond, Jeff, and Dan, we could all be different referees, and we're all going to have our different opinion as to how long am I going to allow this match to go before I bring it right back up on the feet. I want to take it out of the hands of the human being, and I want to simply have a clock mechanism. That's what I have envisioned. Over the cage, it'll be darkened. And this clock will be there so that as you're fighting, you're punching, you're kicking, you're doing whatever, you're jamming people up the cage wall, stuff like this. But somewhere along the lines, boom, you finally hit the ground. And in the process of scrambling, you're still going to scramble, but sooner or later, it'll get to a kind of a clinch position down on the ground. At that point in time, that the referee deems that there's a true control, a true almost like an amateur wrestling, like a takedown. I want that referee to actually to do like a hand gesture of pointing down, boom, that yes, to start this clock so that now the clock lights up. And they see ticking down 29, 28, 27. What it's going to do, I'm looking at an entertainment product. You got to realize all these cage fights, stuff like this, it all boils down to bringing out sponsors. It also boils down to making the sport spectator friendly. The fans are going to understand, okay, 30 seconds down on the ground. And it's going to force the athletes. I better finish this guy off now. So I am going to go into Donkey Kong fashion. That's going to delight the fans. Or I better choke him out. I better armbar him quickly. So I am going to, what my whole aspirations with this, what I'm doing here at Michigan Sports Camps Training Facility, what I'm doing with my Dangerzone MMA company, I am developing the MMA athlete of the future. Strong, entertaining finishers. I should say, strong, entertaining finishers. Guys that once they hit the ground, they're ready to get after it because they know they've been used to doing it for 30 seconds. I got to get the job done. Otherwise, when we stand back on up, I can hear the fans starting to chant right now. Kick his ass! Kick his ass! Okay. When you think about time, plays into all sports.
It'll-
Basketball, you got to get the ball across the halfway court within a certain time frame. Football, you have to have a play off. Time affects everything. Yours truly, me, was involved in a match 22 years ago against Royce Gracie, where the average match was 2 minutes, 22 seconds during the no-holds-barred era. No match at that point in time had ever gone beyond the 4-minute mark. Royce and I's match went on that 16-minute mark. Whereas in a lot of the states, the pay-per-view went black.
I remember that. I was watching that. I lost
They
it.
did not see the end of it. And so now you got all these people who bought it. They're calling in, I want my money back. Who won the match? This, that. So it's a pay-per-view product. You don't want to be doing that kind of stuff. So they implemented time. And now, I mean, advance, fast forward 20 years. Now you have all these previous undercard matches that took place. And if a main event, goes short and they've already allocated 5 rounds, 5 minutes per round, a minute break in between, and the match gets done in the first round, first 20, 30 seconds. Well, now they go back to, okay, previously this night we had this match that took place, and we're going to watch this match, and then earlier also we have this match. So they have all this filler material now, but time and making this product more exciting. This is the wave of the future.
I can just imagine the crowd counting down.
This has given the public more entertaining characters to watch, and making it more exciting down on the ground. Because as I said, Michigan Sports Camps, I am marrying professional wrestling to mixed martial arts, but as you feel comfortable in what antics you are going to do, whether you're going to show up with a mohawk, a colored hair, or strange facial designs carved into your facial hair, what sponsors you have. I mean, literally, when you think about that, I have described lots of people that have already existed in the industry. So I'm just taking, I don't know, maybe I'm putting these athletes on some type of marketing steroids. Ooh, there we go.
Dan's got to get into steroids somehow. You can't do them for real, so it's got to be mental steroids.
No, but just trying to take stuff over the top, because bottom line, all fighting arts, they all have different sets of rules. Boxing has a whole different set of rules than what karate, kung fu, Muay Thai. Now the reality is, fighting is not really all that scientific, and it's really not all that. It's not that great of a thing to watch. When you look at the mere fact on a world level, weight class by weight class, 9 out of the top 10 guys per weight class, what are their original roots? They're amateur wrestlers. Not just a wrestler that just hung around and did 1 or 2 years of high school wrestling, that was it. I'm talking about a high-level wrestler who has achieved success. If you're a freestyler, probably more appropriately a Greco-Roman guy, did something on an international basis, there is a mental mindset and there is a work ethic like no other. And especially in wrestling, there's no money. I always tell people, I've been involved in more prestigious matches. I've been hurt more, and it wasn't for a belt, wasn't for a medal or a trophy. It was simply to step up on that podium and to have my country's flag raised and the playing of the national anthem, knowing that it's an American song being played in a communist-run country. That's a big that almost sends shivers up my spine right now thinking about that, because I can replay that happening time and time again in different countries.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
That's why my international experience served me oh so well, and I'm kind of glad that the original people in the UFC did not do their homework. And yours truly was the monkey wrench that hit the system.
Yeah, I thought Royce Gracie was invincible at that time. I remember you made him look very human, even more than Chemo did.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, Dan. I thought, I was rooting for Gracie. Please don't come over here and beat me up. But yeah, you yeah, you took it to him.
I can barely hear you guys.
Ray's talks too quiet, so we're gonna get out of here in a minute. But I want to thank you very much for coming on. I can't wait to see your promotion in action. I can just imagine the fans counting down like 10, 9, 8. The guy's like holding on, making faces because he knows he's about to get stand up and unleash some striking. I'm really excited to see this. So when you get this rule in effect, make sure you let us know.
Well, actually, we've held 2 shows already with that in place. Total success, and now we're just trying to keep continuing and doing more things with internet pay-per-views, and if we can, we eventually when we want to land some type of cable type of deal. So we've got a television product, but it's kind of tough because there's a lot of mixed martial arts companies across the United States alone.
It's a pretty good gimmick though. If when you get the pay-per-view going, let us know. We'll definitely put it out there, and I'll order it for sure. I'll just write it off on my taxes.
There you go. It's part of your research.
That's right, correct. Just like the UFCs.
Exactly.
All right.
But yeah, if it kind of close, just letting you know that if any of your listeners want to know more about what I have going on, simply just go to my website page, dansevern.com, and you'll see all my different social medias. I have a Twitter account. Basically, it's attached to all the different types of posts that I do on Facebook. So, and then there's the Facebook things because I got 5 different Facebook accounts that I have. And like I said, I just, probably never meet a person quite like me, as I said, because of all the things that I continue to do, but then all the things that have nothing to do with mixed martial arts that I do, with the ECP, the hyperbaric chambers, the CBD, what I'm trying to do here for a very unique training facility and making a difference in the next generation of millennials that are coming on up.
There's been no one like you in the history of MMA, and there'll probably never be another person like you. They definitely broke the mold when they made you.
I know, right?
They threw away the mold and whatever they used to create you, too.
Well, I always say that I have 7 other brothers and sisters, and I'm actually second on the totem pole, and I'm the second male. I'm the second, and I'm the second smallest male. The oldest brother being the smallest, I'm second oldest, second smallest, and they tear up from there. It's even a couple of my sisters are at 6 feet of height than that, and they're very, very powerful. I grew up on a farm, so there was a part of that work ethic that was instilled because chores had to be taken place, animals had to be fed and watered before you were being taken care of, and still had to get up to school, and even it didn't matter how late that you came back from school. Even if you had to go to a football game, a wrestling match, or whatever, a track and field invitational, you get back. You still had to have, there were still cows to be milked. They had to be fed, watered. So it's that same type of work ethic still is instilled to me to this day.
Man, that's amazing. That sounds just like what I imagine a wrestler would sound like, amateur wrestler and a professional wrestler. Really, there's a grind to it, and there's no fame, no fortune, and you made yourself into something huge.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Severn. I appreciate it, or Mr. the Beast, whatever we should call you.
Yeah, that's quite it right there. Raymond and Jeff, thank you very much for having me on, and let's do this again somewhere down the road just to find out what next. Beast on this plane.
Oh, yeah, we would like to do this again.
Yeah, your next show, we're going to promote the shit out of it. We'll make sure we get it out there. And I'm going to come to see it because I want to see the timer going.
Okay, well, I mean, what we'll do is, because I've got your contact information now. I think I asked for your email address and all that, correct?
Nope, but I will send it to you.
We'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah, just send that information so that because I'll just add you to the media database, because once we get that put together, we just put out a press release, and then whoever contacts, then that's how we kind of move forward.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Have a great
night. All right,
night.
Well, have a great rest of your portion. It's about 7:15 here right now. I got a few more things. I try to shut down somewhere between 11:30 and midnight. So I've got a few more hours to get some things done.
I got to edit this to make us sound smart as you, so I got a lot of work to do. Have a great day, Mr. the Beast.
All right. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. You want to take us out, Mr. Ray, with your Mexican music?
From the Fanducci Studios in Buffalo, New York, we are out of here. Then the Beast was laughing at Mickey.
Poopy pants.
Dan the Beast.
I can't believe you got the Beast in here.
I did it.
Yeah. The Ray knows to check this to make sure it's recording still. I didn't get him. All right. I guess this Easter egg's not going to be so good. We're out.
Well, we were making fun of Mickey. It's always good.
Yeah.